on this episode of Bot versus Con.
Welcome back, BvC fans. As always, I'm Bobby the Bot, and there's no James the Con. He must be out doing some mischievous stuff, so I will be handling this awesome interview with Iacon 3D Labs by myself. And with that, we definitely want to hear what you have to say about this. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and bring him in. Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Hi.
Good.
All right, so we have Jeff and Joni here from Iacon 3D Labs, and thank you for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
This is Bot versus Con. Make sure to subscribe and consider becoming a member.
How's your day going?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good. Fridays.
Yeah. So do you guys actually get to enjoy the weekend, or is it like work all the way through?
He works, and I have 3 children that I take care of, so neither one's very relaxing.
Yeah, that's when Iacon does most of their businesses during the weekend. That's me.
Oh, well, so what that really means is that Jeff doesn't work, and Joni, you do all the work with 3 kids. 'Cause I have one.
He hides in the lab, so.
Yeah, she's kicking my butt. So, so welcome to the show. You know what this means. I'm going to pepper you with a ton of questions because we have some fans who are really interested in what's going on with Iacon 3D Labs, what you guys put out, where they can get it, all those types of things. But before we jump into that, let's just start from the beginning. So I will be looking over here because I have a ton of questions, and James isn't here to keep me in line, so that works. First off, what do you remember about the first time of us meeting, if anything? I think it was in TFCon Baltimore. Well, I actually know it was TFCon Baltimore. So what do you remember about that, if anything?
I remember from the most recent TFCon Baltimore, your shirt, the QC shirt. And that just sticks in my head because that's, like kind of how we started a conversation with that. So, it's always nice to talk to people who have heard of us and, want to come in and check out our stuff and just kind of trade stories. So that's kind of what I remember, just was eye-catching.
Yeah, and if I remember, I don't know if I was there when you first came by. I was probably at another booth or something, and then Joni introduced me. And you seemed really excited about the hobby, and about your channel. So obviously that interested us.
Yes, definitely. And I'll tell you what I remember. I was your first customer, and your machine didn't want to work at first.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. And it was like 20 minutes before it decided. You're like kept coming back. I'm like, we gotta chase him down, make sure he gets his card back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So nice to be able to pick up some items from you in person because I had been seeing you online and things. So mostly on Facebook. So let's hop into the good questions. Can you describe your relationship with Transformers?
Mine is a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, she was. Has been along for the ride, but I guess she, wasn't 100% willing participant. But yes, I've been with Transformers, since the beginning back in '84, and there was a little, break in there in the middle. I think Nintendo kind of pulled me away, but then didn't take long for Transformers to come calling back.
I think we share that. My lady, she's along for the ride now, but initially she was like, "This is stupid."
How much space are we going to dedicate to this?
Yeah, I literally bought
I
bought a new house to accommodate.
Yeah, I think, you can see the shelves behind us actually were built by my dad because he's a woodworker. And so this entire room is like a custom room in our house that is made for Transformers. So I did have to come around to it to a certain extent to accommodate that. But once we were able to turn it into a business, and I'm an accountant and I coach businesses, so that made it much more appealing to kind of fit those two things together for me. So
it's all part of the strategy.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting more out of this.
As long as they
interview.
earn their keep, the Transformers, it's all right. If they can pay for themselves, it's a little better.
Exactly. So does your dad travel for woodwork?
Yeah. So when I first started working on this room, I put dimensions down, and then actually, I'm a designer by trade. I went ahead and designed what I wanted the room to look like, and gave him the designs, and he built this amazing shelving for me. So it's awesome. It's around the whole room.
So what you're telling me is that I have an accountant and a designer that can help me. Okay, yeah, this is definitely turning into
whole
a
package here.
I don't even care what anybody else thinks. This is going to be all about me right now. Okay. Would you consider yourself an Autobot or Decepticon?
No. Probably an Autobot. I'd hope so, but
Probably not.
probably, yeah.
Probably not a bot.
Yeah.
Our children are Decepticons.
Aren't they all little mini cons? That's all they are. What about you, Jody? What would you kind of lean to one side or the other?
I guess probably an Autobot too. I mean, I did watch Transformers as a kid. I never really latched on to the figure side of things, but just from a pure 80s cartoon standpoint, I definitely could still sing the theme song.
Oh yeah, we're about to get that on video.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's. I mean, who could even consider being a Decepticon when you grew up from the very beginning? Those guys are terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Although I'd want to be one of the Autobots from the first episode that could actually fly, because why can't they fly? It's annoying. Stupid.
You know what? So we talk about it on the show a lot, and we've sat on some panels, and there was a lot of this white substance that went around during that time at the 80s, and that might have been, I'm booger sugar, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
That's
the decision-making process.
That's what that was a creative process. Yes. So,
Yes.
If you had to pick your favorite continuity, what would that be? So, are you G1ers? I know I am. James is Beast Wars, and we have Cybertron and all the Prime and all the others. What would you consider yourselves?
Yeah, I'm very, very hard G1. It was, and still to this day, what with the new films, I understand it did bring in a lot of interest, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. And once I saw what Michael Bay did with it, I'm like, yeah, I'm out. So I will say the new Transformers 1, I do really enjoy. That's one of the best ones I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Although we do have one very large Transformer from the movie.
Yes, I do own a 2010 Bumblebee Camaro.
Oh.
Like the vehicle itself.
Yeah,
so
that
when
was
they
a
came
gift.
out, when they came out, I ordered one. There's only like 1,200 of them made, I think. So we still have that in our garage.
Yeah. Yeah, so imagine the surprise when she's like, oh, hey, I got you something. And we go to a car dealership and pick up a, Transformers Edition
The largest
Camaro.
Transformer there is.
I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I'm just going to speak for the masses. You better hold on to her. She's not going anywhere. That's amazing.
It had to be. I'm like, they came up with a Transformers real car. I mean, come on. It had to be done. Like, it was fun. But
so I've modded it out. It's really nice. I've taken it to a couple of car shows. Real popular with the kids.
Yeah. It's real popular with the adults too.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Okay, yeah, gold star for you. Okay, I'm getting I'm learning stuff and I'm getting jealous all at the same time. Are there any other brands you collected as a kid that may have influenced you for what you're currently doing now?
The first, what I remember collecting first was He-Man. And then I went into Transformers, and I was pretty heavy into Transformers for a while. And then when Ninja Turtles came along, I collected Turtles. And then when the whole Beast Wars and Cybertron and all those different styles of Transformers came around, I never was really interested. And then when Takara came out with the realistic cars, they were called alternators.
Yes, the alternators.
Something like that. Yeah, that brought me back in heavy because at the time, I was all about cars, and then having these realistic cars, and obviously the whole nostalgia kicked in with Transformers. I'm like, I'm all over this. And then from that point out, from like I think it was 2004, I've been really bad with getting both feet wet with the Transformers.
2004 is the year we got married, ironically.
Yes.
Wow. Nice. So just celebrating over a decade together.
Yes.
Congratulations.
20 years.
Or 20 years, excuse me. Yeah, 2 decades together. You guys, you look young, so I'm sorry. Over there, 14, getting married or something like that. There's laws against that in some places. And Nice. Okay, so from a standpoint now, you're collecting Transformers, you're back into it. Are there any other? Do you still collect, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Do you still collect He-Man? Do you collect anything else?
I've purchased a few of the Mondo He-Man figures.
Okay.
That is going to probably the Mondo figures come with a lot of accessories. So I was kind of dabbling with that. I wanted to create a display stand for all the different, because the figures are so expensive and they come with a lot of accessories. So I was taking obviously the Iacon Labs design part of it, and I was looking at maybe making something for my Mondo figures, but mass producing something that large I just can't foresee. But I think that would interest a lot of people. But yeah, so like I said, He-Man was one of the first things I probably collected, and then when I saw the Mondo figures, I'm like, oh well, there's a few that are very core figures that I really want.
So, Johnny, I see you're kind of looking at.
I'm looking around the room to remind me what else we have in here. Yeah, we have all the lightsabers from, the realistic lightsabers
from Star Wars.
From Star Wars.
Right.
And that, like as far as other genres, that's pretty much all of them, though. Yeah.
Okay. So, approximately, and we always do. Sometimes people stick to strictly this, and they only want this, and then others are like kind of like me and collect a little bit of everything. Have you counted like how many Transformers you have?
I have not counted. I will say that this room is going to be where the collection is going to stay. It's not going to expand beyond this room. So if there's something else that I really want to collect, something's got to leave to make room for the new stuff. So that's kind of how I look at it. And there's always something new that would catch my eye, and then there's something like, okay, well, where is it going to go? I mean, I do have a few empty spots in here, but the majority of it, I'm not going to just collect anything and everything. There has to be, it's got to push the right nostalgia buttons, and then I have to have room for it, or something's got to go.
Okay. And we have a fair amount of like statues and non-transforming Transformer things too. So like when the Palisades statues that came out, that was forever long ago.
Yeah, that was back in 2008 or something.
Yeah, one of the guys that was on the design team was actually from our area, and so we got some artist proofs of those statues, and those we still have. Do we have all of those?
We have all of those.
We still have all of those, I think. Hope so.
So I got like
all of those. Well, we got rid of our Devastator.
15 or something like that, because there were a fair few artist proofs made.
Yeah. So those, in addition to just the regular transforming pieces, we have busts and different, other things too.
Oh, that's the part of the hobby that I'm scared of, because that can get so expensive so fast.
It does, yeah.
There was no smile on his face. Like, yeah.
No, you have to be very selective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get really bad.
Yeah, I can see that. So let's take a step back. Where did the name come from?
Well, when we decided that we were going to start a 3D printing business, we were, tossing around different names, and all of them were like 3D printing something, and we were trying to come up with different names, and then my wife here, Joni, said, "Well, why don't you make it something Transformer themed? Because that's the big thing is Transformers." And then so we were throwing down around different Transformer names, and it just was a struggle. Like I don't really want to use like a Transformer. I want to call it like Wheeljack's 3D printing thing. It just didn't sound right to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember if we like looked in some kind of Transformer book or something like that, but we did maybe do some Googling or something like that, and we came across Iacon, and then we found out, or doing some research, and saw that, oh well, Iacon's a city on Transformers Cybertron, so let's do something with that. And then so it just originally it was just Iacon Labs, and then we're like, well, we gotta have 3D, and it's we're 3D printing stuff, so then it just kind of
well, we could work on the labs thing even too, because
Right.
we were like designs and
yeah,
different things, so we tossed around a lot of different choices in the beginning.
right.
And,
So then that's what we just ended up with, is just 3D Labs.
okay, so how did you get into 3D printing?
Well, during the pandemic, we were trying to set up something as a fallback plan. We weren't sure if we were going to keep our jobs. And so we just wanted to have something else to see, that we weren't totally at the mercy of what else was going to happen at the time. And Jeff did primarily two-dimensional drawing at the time. So he taught himself how to 3D model, and then taught himself how to operate a 3D printer, because none of it were things that we did before then. We just decided to create the business and have a go at it with some things that he had in mind. I think that you kind of wanted to do for yourself, sort of,
Right.
and just thought, he would always say like, well, I think it's cool, but I don't know if everybody else is going to think it's cool. So, it was kind of like things that he thought would be good, but we just weren't sure what the market was. But he was also involved with so many of the different groups online. He knew enough people and had talked to different people that we kind of had a group that we knew that we could start with as far as customers go. So that was nice, is like we can start with the people that he's already talking to and already trying to find out what they like and what might be interesting and all that. So so that was a market thing that was good. But as far as the process, that was a bit harder to get started.
Yeah, it was hard just to get the printer to actually print something, and then there was a lot of learning. And honestly, the people that you purchase the printer from, they're only interested in selling you the printer. They're not really interested in tech support. So you, again, have another community with the 3D printing people, and they did do a lot of help with us. We've gone to 3D printing shows where we don't necessarily sell anything. We just kind of do networking and talk to other people that 3D print and things that they've learned, because at the beginning it was very hard, and we chose at the very beginning that yes, the the resin printing that we do is more expensive, but you get better detail and it's cleaner, and it doesn't, and it always makes me feel good that when people get our products in their hand, they're like, this is 3D printed, and they are like trying to examine to figure out how I did it, So, through years of practice and learning, that was really nice.
Yeah, the vast majority of 3D printers are filament printers. It's just two totally different things, really. I mean, they are both 3D printing, but have almost nothing to do with each other as far as a process standpoint goes. So it's, I don't know, 50-1 or more than that probably as far as products go out there, as
Right.
far as filament printers versus resin. So we kind of went with a go big or go home mentality of like, let's get the biggest printer that we can, get from a consumer standpoint that's really detailed and have something different that'll set us apart, that we didn't just want to do what everybody else was out there doing.
Right. And that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to do designing is, I wanted to be able to take people's suggestions or maybe my own ideas and create those and not rely on a designer, reach out to a designer and pay them and then have, 50 back and forth emails trying to get the exact part that I want or make it fit and everything. So if I just did it myself, I can see it from start to finish and then I know what it's going to be. And, nobody else is selling it because I designed it from scratch.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that just buy their designs and print it, So it's like, which is fine, but you're stuck with what you have, and the amount of QC and tweaking that we do to our stuff, like there's just no way we couldn't do it if we didn't have him in-house able to change things, because you just constantly have to adjust stuff. So, we just decided to take charge of all those things. It would make us unique. We never sell our designs so that no one else can, they can design it themselves, but no one else could just start from having bought it and go forward. And so we just do a couple of unique things with our process. He's unique with the design side. So it's just a product that you can't get anywhere else.
Right.
Is our focus is to have something that's completely unique and completely designed from scratch by us, down to the color, all the different things.
I'm truly excited. That's an exceptional way to go into it. As you said, so nobody else can do it. We know where it came from. It came from you, and that's a very strong and a very bold risk to take, especially with so many things unknown there. I was thinking about moonlighting as a exotic Autobot, but I don't think that would have worked on COVID or nothing like that. But, I don't know. I would at least had a reason to have a mask on or something like that. Well, let's go ahead and get into some of the things that you're working on, and we have a little video that we're going to show. So let's go ahead and pop that up. All right, so that was really cool. I have a couple of thoughts on that. We talked about me having the QC shirt when we met.
Yeah, so that product actually started sort of as a joke, because we had these. So we have our Fans Toys branded, same size figure stands, and then smaller ones too. Which we had at TFCon. And then you had that shirt. And we've obviously heard people talk about that before too. The whole QC sticker thing is, an inside joke. And I was like, we could make a coaster, like we call them coasters or stands, that's just a giant QC sticker, And he's like, yeah, we could probably do that pretty easy, as from a design standpoint. So it was just sort of funny, to start with in the beginning. But I don't know. There might be enough people that are excited about it to sell them. I'm not sure. But I was like, well, at least send one to you and see what you think about it.
When I tell you that you made my day, so
my favorite thing to do.
when we talked, and if you hadn't thought about it before, I was like, I will buy it because of the amount of figures I buy. And when we're talking about it, the argument that I would say is that typically Fans Toys doesn't have many QC issues. I would completely agree, except for I actually just replaced the smokestacks on my Marge figure.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes, because they came broken in the box, and so that was one aspect. And of the only other figure, my Jazz had issues, but I collect a little bit of everything, a lot of everything. And I said, I need a QC one because I also get figures that are like this. And, you know, so I was just like, this is perfect for reviews. And so when I talked to you in Baltimore, I said, yes, if you only make one, I'll buy one. I'll be one of one. So thank you very much for sharing this. Yeah. So let's take a look at some of these products a little bit closer here. And I mean, again, I just showed it off. This looks great. We can see, and I'll let you walk us through it. So, you know, what are these little tabs on the bottom for? I have it in hand, so I know, but could you walk us through those?
Yeah, so the tabs on the bottom are, sometimes the resin over time can kind of warp a little bit. And plus, you don't want resin on top of glass or wood or something like that, because it's just there's no grip at all. And obviously, the whole point is it's a figure stand, so you want it to stay in place. So those 4 little dots are 4 little rubber feet that we glue in place, and that just keeps the stand in place. So whatever figure you decide to place on the stand, it'll stay.
Nice touch.
The big decision was what number to put on there. We had to toss around quite a few choices on the number.
So, you know, I did have some different numbers on there, and I don't want to get too heavy into the whole printing process. But depending on if the numbers are closed, there's a thing called cupping that's an issue. It can cause issues printing. So most of the stuff had to be open. You can see the Q and the A are closed. We call them closed letters. Mm-hmm. So I had to do some manipulation and some extra shape cutting in there so that they would print and still look clean. But yeah, so we're kind of restricted by the numbers. And since, you know, me going back to, I think I've been with TFW 2005 since like 2005, you know, and I have, you know, my handle there is Trailbreaker77, so I was like, oh, we gotta do 77. So that was the origin of that number.
And see, I thought you were just shouting me out because that was the year I was born. Okay.
Oh, there you go. See, that's even perfect for you.
That's what I'm gonna go with. This is custom for me. So if you buy one of these,
there are a lot of Transformer fans.
Yes.
Yes. So when you buy these, you're helping me celebrate me being here, so I really appreciate it. So I really think, I mean, you can kind of see here the size. So these are clearly for your masterpiece figures. That looks really good. Like I'm stunned. I just was upset that the figure's not included with that, but I can try, right? These look really, really awesome. But then this right here, this touched a special part with me and James. Can you kind of talk about this a little bit, please?
Yeah, so, you know, when I did the QC, it was a very fast design, clearly. You know, it's just some, I already had the dimensions of the actual stand, and we're kind of limited by the size of our printer. I wanted to do something different. And when I went to your YouTube page, I did see that you had a page with some merchandise on it. And I was like, you know what, let me take their logo and see if I can fit that on a stand and how that would look. And, you know, I went ahead and I got a chrome marker and some paint. And I went ahead and kind of traced and, you know, took a little liberties there with your design so it would print correctly. And then I went ahead and took it to the finish line. I was like, I wonder if you guys would be interested in this. And I wanted to show some appreciation. And then honestly, if this is something that you're interested in, you know, we don't plan on selling it at our site. It was more like a gift for you and James. And if you do want to purchase some more and maybe you have some fans that would like to get some, you know, I would highly recommend you reach out to Bobby and James and let them know, and then they can let us know.
I mean, come on, like that. Okay, okay, that, yeah. But look at that. I mean, come on. Okay, yeah. But look at that.
I figured, and this is also something that you guys could use when you do your reviews on your channel. You could set the figure rate on it, and it's kind of, marketing for your brand.
So, I really do. Again, thank you so much. We really appreciate these. I didn't know when you said that you were, sending us something. I had no idea what it would be. And when I opened it up, I saw the QC and I just started grinning like, I look like a T-Rex. I was just showing like 500 teeth. So that is the first thing I thought about is anytime I have a QC issue and we do a review, it's going on this. And then it came like this. And when I opened it up or pulled it out, I saw this and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna lie, I cussed. I cussed and I immediately reached out to James because my package came faster and showed him. And again, from the bottom of our hearts, we really want to say thank you for sharing this with us. This means a lot. And fans, if you're interested, definitely hit us up. But there's some other things that we want to talk about and show off here. So I'm going to give you all the floor. And if you can introduce maybe some of the things that our fans haven't seen yet.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I don't know where we want to start.
Do you want to start with
So I guess we'll kind of run through the whole line a little bit here. Our flagship product, I would say, is this, our fun little, it's a little reflective here.
Yes. I can grab the figure right behind me.
Yeah. So we've sold more of these than any other product that we've ever had. Not the first thing we made, but definitely the most popular. And it's gone through a couple of iterations.
Right.
But, when we started out, there was just same thing. It came from fans. They said, can we change this chest insert? I don't like the stock insert. And had the figure. A ton of people had the figure. So we figured it was a good choice to, know that it was going to be popular. And took some doing to get it to fit in there the right way and not slide around and sort it all out. But we have this in the original form. And then we have it, you can customize it to be whatever combination that you want with it, because we also have the toy and the tune version of the symbol. So some of them can have the decibel line, some of them have the check mark, you can have the white lines or not. There's all these different mixes and matches that you can do with this particular one. And then we have the purple one,
right,
that, same mold. So we knew that we had the shape already down. We just had to print it in a different color. So we started with
one for Sound Blaster.
With Sound Blaster to go with Sound Weave. And then same thing, so that added to the variety of things that we can do. We also have a clear red of this one, and then we have the clear smoky gray of this one. So this kind of group of products has been definitely our most popular things. It's an easy switch in the figure. Right. You pop it in, pop it out. It makes a big difference in the way that he looks. It's front and center. Lots of people like to show it off. So, it's really nice, affordable piece to just make a big difference in your collection. So that's been our biggest thing by far. But that sort of got us into other different kinds of inserts and emblems and different things like that. So, we have the pipes, back window inserts that we have. Then we have the Autobot symbols in a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different sizes. If you want to just put them anywhere on the figure. So we have lots of those small kinds of things. So we have a variety of small things, and then we have our large things. So this huge guy, this was our very first product actually. And one of our biggest things, which is for the Studio Series Grimlock. And then now there's a couple other versions of that same
I believe
size.
that there's a blue one hitting the market right now. that, you know, this would
that he would fit into.
perfect into.
Yeah. So we originally thought that we were going to design for the entire line of the all their swords and all those things for all the Dinobots, but that took so long for them to come out. They were so far apart that we ended up, you know, just kind of sticking with this. But there's some accessories and stuff that go with this too.
On the back, you can put five swords
in there
along the top if you do have all 5 Dinobots in one. To display him around that, because it gives it the whole Game of Thrones type of look.
Yeah, and so he's got a crown and different things that you can use to accessorize the figure if you want to do that too, or just have the just have the throne.
So this is a pauldron.
Goes on the shoulder.
It goes on the shoulder, so there's a little hole on the side, and this just pegs right in. You can go to our website and see some pictures, but you can, when you buy this, it comes in a pair, and you get one for each side, and it's a Sharkticon head. So, you know.
Yeah. Probably one of our most unique designs because it's just totally from scratch what he wanted to design. And he's like, I just want to do a Sharkticon and stick it on there. So,
and then we do offer crowns.
Got the crown.
Crowns that, and I think most of them come with a crown now, but if you wanted, you know, these are got a fleck sparkle paint to it, so it gives it a shine. And it matches the pauldron, so it's kind of cool. Yeah,
and then so after that, then we made a small version, a scaled down version for this little guy. So, you know, almost exactly the same thing. It's still got the holes for the swords and so forth, but it just fits a different scale. So that's fun too, just to have the same King Grimlock kind of theme with a smaller version as well. And then we get all the way down to Legends scale stuff. So we've got diorama pieces like this, which are Legends scale. So we wanted to start kind of a set that looked like it fit into the arc, but not make the whole arc. We're definitely limited by size on some things, and it's hard to ship. It makes it expensive. You know, we can't make things that are too large. So we started with Legends. It's the smallest thing. So, you know, he fits here in this little chair, and can work on the, you know, looks like the arc, inspired by the arc, you know, sort of things. So we have a whole line of things that are in that scale and match together. We have this, which is like a little charging station, again, not directly from the show, but just kind of inspired by the show and different things. It looks like it has little buttons. It has these little, I think these are glued in for display, little Energon rods in here, which you can get separately. I call them Q-tips. And this lights up, although the batteries are dead, I think, in this one. But
they'll come with fresh batteries.
Yeah, but it lights up from the bottom and the top, so it like looks like he's charging, you know, when they're in there, and fits a variety of size Legend figures, most of them. And then we also have these and we try to make some things functional as much as possible too. So, you know, this kind of has like a play aspect to it. These things we intended to be functional as well. They have a bunch of holes on the top so that you can fit all different of the shapes of weapons. But it also has a drawer so that you can store all your little extra doodads in there. So that if you have your figures standing around, they're kind of interactive and look like something. They're not just standing on a stand. They're doing something. They're pushing the buttons, or they're storing their stuff, or they've got things in here. So, you know, we kind of wanted it to be more of a set and work out together. We also have it in the Decepticon purple that's slightly different, although I'm sure you'd love to know that the Decepticon side is much less popular than the Autobot side. So we don't have a full line of the Decepticon stuff because we haven't found it to be as popular as the orange ARC Autobot side of things. Right. So that's kind of the, you know, scale variety of things. It's tough to make big pieces for anything bigger than the Legends scale because it just goes up in, you know, by so much. You have to make it in multiple pieces and kind of put it together like a puzzle. That makes it harder. We have some bigger display stands and things like that. But if we find that people are really asking for something and there's a market for it, then we're happy to mess around with it. But we kind of like for something even bigger, we'd almost have to do like a what were we saying?
Almost like a crowdfund.
Almost like a crowdfund thing, because it just the amount of design time and iterations to go through it and test it. Not like you don't realize, you don't realize how much stuff happens in the background to try and get something to actually work. It just takes a long time, down to, not just getting it designed right, that it fits together, that it prints right, and then the colors, we color everything on our own. Our resin is white, and anything that's colored we dye. So we have to fool around with that. You have to change the settings based on how dark the color is. There's all these other little things that you have to mess around with. So it's time consuming. I mean, that's really our cost wise. Honestly, it doesn't cost us a lot in dollars and cents, but it costs us a ton in time. And that's, expensive.
That's more expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. So, we have to make sure that we build that in and that we're going to have sales from that if we put all the time into doing it, on the front end.
Yeah.
No, so that all makes sense. And I had always wondered why there wasn't a lot of or any masterpiece size things. And thank you for explaining that, because I did see some of the dioramas and we've talked about them even on the channel sometimes. And I'm like, I would get it if it was in MP size, because that's a majority of my collection. But the good thing is we have a bunch of Legends collectors as fans and members. And so you're definitely hitting a market that's out there. And so I will advise everyone that might be interested in something to, here's a way to do that. Couple of questions now. So you mentioned, that you've designed some things for other people. So you do take commissions then, I guess, or would be open to commissions, or?
It kind of depends. I mean, we've never really specifically taken a commission. I don't think we've ever really had one. We've had, there's things that we kind of do because, like, the stands for you, we already had the stand itself designed, you kind of the size and so forth, like you said. So we kind of knew it was going to work, so less design time that would take on something personalized like that. So that one wasn't a big lift as far as that goes. But a lot of times it's kind of just somebody saying like, hey, what about this? Have you ever tried that? Have you tried it in this? And if we hear that from enough people, then we kind of decide to make it, and also if it's something that you think you use in your own collection, and if we have the figure, sometimes people are asking for something that we don't even own the figure. And if it's something that fits in them specifically, we have to have it to make sure that it fits too. So there's a couple of elements that go into it, but we've had people ask about specific commissions, but to have a person totally from design to product buy something, it would just cost too much in most cases.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes sense. With the everything that goes on with it, it looks like you guys are doing really good. I'm pleased with the products. Do you typically do TF cons in general, or bot cons or anything like that? I mean, like, Toronto's coming up. Will people be able to see you in Toronto or Baltimore, or not Baltimore, but Chicago after that? How are you all doing with the shows?
We honestly haven't done great at the shows, from a sales standpoint.
Okay.
I mean, it's good from a networking standpoint. It's always great to get out there and see people. We see the same people at some of the shows. We, meet podcasters and stuff like that. That's, always nice. And he's got friends that, we know from online and so forth that we see. The two factors that end up being an issue is, number one, trying to make enough product to bring and not having any idea what's going to sell. So it's like he spends all this time ahead of a show just grinding it out and guessing what we're going to need, and then we end up with a lot of extra stuff, or we don't know product wise what it's going to be. So it's a gamble from that standpoint. And for the amount of time there, 2-3 days just there with both of us, it takes a lot just personal wise to organize that too. So we can't do too many of those. We did do BotCon.
Yeah.
Which TFCon was better than BotCon, I think. We did BotCon in New York, which was nice because we brought the kids to the amusement park that was there. So we had the in-laws, his parents take them and do that. So that was kind of nice from a vacation standpoint. But for the traffic that it got was not what we expected. Now, years ago, we went to BotCon in Rhode Island. That was in Rhode Island that year, right? Because it was at Hasbro headquarters. Whichever BotCon that was. As not as the company, just as ourselves. So that was kind of our frame of reference for what BotCon was. It is nothing like that now. That was super, even for me, who was not a huge fan. It was the year the first movie came out. Because it was there. We toured Hasbro. The hall was huge and crazy and lines. I'm like, it was nuts, and it is not like that now. So, I think it's less, of course, COVID too,
Right.
So it's less than it used to be from a traffic standpoint. We had talked about at some point maybe doing Toronto, just because we do have a lot of Canadian customers.
Yes.
And he has family in upstate New York, so we could kind of like figure that out at some point potentially. But again, a risk of making stuff, traveling with it, bringing it there, and all that. So it's tough. It's nice from a marketing standpoint and getting out there, but translating to specific sales, it's hard to know whether it's worth it or not, because people could hear about us and then go home and order too. We have no idea.
Right.
So that's hard to justify that sometimes with the time and effort that it requires to go into it.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You talked about Hasbro, and I know we're coming up on time here, but I'd be not doing my job if I didn't ask this. How do you feel about Hasbro and the Mainline versus third party?
Well, for me, I don't really see a difference. I do see that the third party collectors are more embracing of something that's off-brand, because like the Studio Series Grimlock throne that we've made, obviously there's hundreds of thousands of people that have collected that Grimlock. We haven't seen anything like that in sales. So in you bringing it up, we've had several inquiries and saying, hey, can you take that throne and scale it up for MP? And it's not as easy as just going into the file and just making it bigger. There's a lot of things that go into it. You have to own the figure, make sure it's going to fit right. Is he actually going to sit in it? Is he going to float above it? Do his arms touch the armrest? There's a lot of stuff involved. And then plus, if you just take and make it bigger, then everything else becomes bigger. The walls are thicker and it's using more resin. There's a lot of, it's not as easy as just going up there and say, oh, we'll make it 1.2 size bigger or whatever. So I will say, I have a feeling that if I were to scale that throne up to MP scale, that we'd probably see more sales than we've ever seen with the Studio Series. But that's, to me, it's no different. We don't compete with really anybody else. We just see where people are interested and make it. And, the stuff that we make for official product just doesn't really seem to move. It's the third party people that collect that kind of stuff that are like, I want it to look this way, and we help assist it, and then we barely keep it on the shelves. So that's what I see is different.
And there's way more variety on the third party side. It just, Hasbro just doesn't have all the things. So it's like they're filling a gap in the Hasbro, third party's filling a gap in that, and we're filling a gap to kind of make those two things come together, to make the third party look more like an official figure. So, we kind of try and merge those two together a little bit.
No, well, it's getting late. I know we have families to take care of. I really want to say thank you for spending this time with us, but I think there might be one other thing that you have to show off first.
One other thing we want to show off. So
I'm gonna step off the stage.
Yeah. So the QC stand, I went ahead and made that listing live today. So if you wanted to order the QC stand, it's available as of today on our website. But a couple months ago, we posted on our Iacon Facebook page that we had purchased this Ultra Magnus figure. We wanted to know, is there something people would like to see for this? So this core robot, one of the glaring things is, the hip plate. When you transform it, you got this big gear showing in the middle of his hip. So we went ahead and designed a piece that just slides right on, and it covers that up. It's been a long, stressful thing trying to get some paint, because obviously it's not just white paint; it's got a metallic look to it and everything. So now we have a cover, that gets rid of that, glaring metal piece in the middle. What we've also done is 3D printed a Autobot symbol, which is mainly for the Magnus when he's in his armor, but this is what he looks like. If you decide you want to put it on the core robot, you can have that there. We're probably going to do this as a set. So we'll have this hip replacement piece, and then this 3D printed icon symbol. And then the final thing that we'll do is many of the fans remember the G1 Ultra Magnus trailer. The missiles will connect on the pegs on the front. But if you own the new, Fans Toys Ultra Magnus or Fantastic Model or whatever brand that they released it under, if you go to hook your missile to the front, it's got the peg in it. It looks like it would fit, but the missile doesn't stick. So we've went ahead and designed this, it's got the slot. It just plugs in, snaps in. Now you can take the missiles and plug it in the front like you can in the original G1. So these will be sold in a set. You'll get a couple of these plugs that will sit right on, will plug right in. The Autobot symbol that you can put on either, and I will show what that looks like on the armored version. If you wanted to use the Autobot symbol and the armor, you can put it there. If you decide, and I've seen out there that they have skeletons, so you can, purchase a skeleton and put your armored Magnus on one spot, and then have your core robot in the other. So we will offer these as a set, which will be one Autobot symbol, the hip piece, and then two of the plugs for the trailer. We don't know what the prices are going to be yet. We're still, I'm still fine tuning the pieces so that everything will print and fit nicely. Obviously I show you that the piece hangs in there. I don't have to hold it. It just plugs into the spot that the hip armor plugs into. So, it's easy to take in and take out. It just fits into that same slot at the bottom. It's just got a little peg at the bottom. That's all it is. It just slides right in and stays in place. So we'll be doing those three, and then we'll also be offering the symbol by itself. This is the toy version, but we won't be making the toy version. It'll only be available in cartoon version, because the toy version, when I print it this small, doesn't really work. So we'll be offering some, if you decide that you want the 3D printed Autobot symbol, but you don't want to put it on Magnus, we'll offer the symbol separately. But we'll be releasing this Ultra Magnus set here in the near future for those that really want to display that core Magnus robot and want to get rid of some of those eyesores. So that'll be coming in the very near future here.
So that was awesome. Yes, sign me up, please, and thank you for that. Whenever it gets released, I do want that. There's a couple other things that you showed off that we'll talk offline about that I want to pick up from you as well. Look, we really do appreciate you both for joining the show, spending this hour or so with me, showing us what you have, what the fans can expect from you. Final thoughts, anything that why should you already kind of touched on it, but there's so many 3D players out there, why should they come to you?
Well, I have two thoughts. The first one is just that it is just us. We are, you can contact us directly and ask us about anything that we're doing. We're happy to talk to you about it, show you whatever it is. And we really care about putting out a quality product. It may be a little bit more expensive than your average 3D printed thing, but we toss things if the color's not right, if the layers don't adhere completely, or there's things all the time. Right. I'm the QC person, and because if once you look at something for a long time, like you kind of become blind to it a little bit. Yep. So both of us will look at stuff. We have discussions about color and size and how things fit and how they're going to be. We really do try to make it unique and custom. We really care about it being high quality. So, right. That's our big thing is you can put our stuff up next to anything printed from a filament printer for sure, and it's going to be smoother and cleaner than anything you'll see out there.
Yeah, we don't just scrape it off the printer and put it in a box and ship it to you. We scrape it off the printer, we clean it. There isn't a whole lot of sanding due to the way I design things. Most things get painted. At a minimum, everything gets a clear coat, whether it's a matte or a gloss. Nothing goes out the door without some kind of finish. And then we make sure everything's packaged well. And like my wife said, she QCs everything. So, it's not just me putting my eyes on it when she goes to package it and ship it out. She looks at it and she's like, this isn't good enough. And we need another whatever. We need another throne, need another stand. So, we do the best we can to turn things around as fast as we can. I always try and keep things in stock. That's where I spend my weekends. But yes, quality first, customer service. And then, we understand our prices are a little high, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah. The proof's in the pudding. I really, really love these. And you will be seeing these on the channel in my own reviews. So, to all our fans, to all of our members, please check out Iacon 3D Labs. Get yourself some merch here,
yeah, that's one of the things we like is having people show off their stuff too.
Yes.
When they get it, that's our favorite thing is to see it out there in the wild. We want to put stuff out there that people are proud to show in their collection. So it's like when we see something that's ours in a picture somewhere that somebody's showing, it's like, oh, that's so cool. That was our thing. So. I
reached out to Jeff and I was just like, can I show this? I want to show it.
It's your gift. Show it off for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we want people to say like, hey, where'd you get that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, reach out to botversuscon@gmail.com. Reach out to Iacon 3D Labs. Where can they find you?
Well, we have our website, just our straight website is iacon3dlabs.com. Our Facebook and all those things are all at Iacon 3D Labs. Everything's pretty much just our name. Yeah. We're on Facebook. We're sort of on X.
Yeah. Sort of.
We're on Twitter. We're not on TikTok because
anymore.
It sucks.
not going to be doing no Iacon 3D.
Try it.
So it's it's
we're
X,
on
YouTube.
Yeah.
And you can reach us from the website. In fact, the product that I'm doing next after this Ultra Magna stuff is out the door was a suggestion from a Turtles fan. And we ended up putting a poll out there and a lot of Turtles fans said, yeah, I'll get that. So that's my next design. And then after that, I don't know if I'm going to stay with Turtles or back to Transformers. It all depends on suggestions. And, that's basically the fans kind of drive us, right? Somebody will send an email to my wife and she'll forward it to me. And she's like, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. I think we can do that.
So there's...
Or we see a new figure's getting ready to come out, right. Or something like that. Yeah.
And we didn't touch it. So you do Transformers, you do Turtles. Mm-hmm. What else do you dabble in?
We have some arcade dust covers.
So these are for arcade 1-up custom arcades.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just fit on the joysticks.
Yeah, which seems like our most popular one right now is Miss Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, yeah.
We also do gargoyles. So this is If you're a fan of gargoyles, this is the castle that the gargoyles would stand on and be in stone. And like, we were saying, Joni was saying earlier, we like to make things functional. So it's not just a stand for your figure. It's got drawers in it so that you can put the extra arms, or I think this figure came with like a book or something like that. So the other side opens and you can put it came with a jalapeno, so you can put the jalapeno here and the book here. But we like to make our stuff functional. Here's one of the newest things we did for turtles is a little toolbox. NECA just recently released a Donatello laboratory, and everybody was like, where are the tools? You gave Donatello this giant lab, but he doesn't have any tools. So I was like, all right. So I went ahead and I created a toolbox and made some little tools.
Tiny hammer.
Hammer
and screwdrivers and a wrench. Yeah.
So, we're working that out.
For anybody, really, this could fit in I don't know, it's definitely larger than Legends.
No, yeah. So, but anyways, so that was, again, a suggestion. This was something that I created from scratch. So when the Ninja Turtles aren't using their weapons, they can put them on this little stand and display it in a dojo. And same thing, the turtle fans love to have dioramas, so we have little things like this. This was just something that I created that was both inspiration from.
Just making up words.
Yeah, just making up words. This is basically came from like Jurassic Park, where they had this incubator that they were using the dinosaur eggs in. So I was like, well, how about I take that, and then in the cartoon they had these little eggs, which you can kind of see in there. From the Ninja Turtles, those little pizza monsters. They put them on pizzas and then microwave the pizzas, and the pizza monsters hatched or something like that. So basically, this is just something that the villains would put in their lair, and it would heat the pizza monster so they could create a little army. So we have different little diorama things for turtle fans because that's what they're big into now that NEC is making these play sets. So people hit us up with suggestions all the time.
I mean, if I didn't already engulf myself into Transformers, you make me want to go buy some turtle stuff now. So yes. Well, again, I want to thank you both for joining me, joining us, the cons out there doing con things, of course. Really do appreciate you. Hopefully I'll see you in Chicago at TFCon if things align, whether as a vendor or just visiting. I won't be able to make it to Toronto this year, but maybe we can make it to Toronto at the same time sometime soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming out. And as always, fans, you found out how you can reach them. Go check them out. If there's somewhere you can say vs. Con sent you, let them know that you saw us here. But
Definitely.
Exactly.
Great company, great people. Go buy all their stuff. Take a loan out if you need to. Borrow some money from your grandmother. I don't know. Do some extra chores, whatever. But this is really good stuff, and we'll see you all next time. Again, as always, to all debates are won. Thanks all.
Thank you.
See ya.